Everyone, doing a video today on oil changes. I have a 2013 WR250R with 32,000 kilometers on the clock. And I've just got some footage here that I'm going to show you guys, but I put this bike through its paces. It runs pretty much a full send kind of life. So here's some clips that I've recorded in recent years. So for the past 7 years, I've almost exclusively used Rotella T6 5W40, and all of my bikes have never had any issues. And when you buy in a large quantity like I do, you can't beat it in terms of value. So from left to right, supply-wise, we have the oil, measuring cup, funnel, something to catch the oil. We've got the filter, the crush washer, gloves, 14 mil socket ratchet for the removing the drain plug, and then an 8 mil there to remove the bolts that hold on the oil filter cap, and then rags to clean up. So all I'm doing here is warming up the bike. I typically let it run for about 5 minutes until everything heats up to a decent temperature before draining the oil. And so this is where you use the 14 millimeter ratchet to break the drain plug free. And after you do that, usually you can just take it off by hand and let her drain. Slowing things down here to show you the magnetic drain bolt that I've added to this bike. Underneath that black spot on the tip of that drain bolt is actually a metallic color. So once you wipe it away, it should be back to metallic. Now, if you've got chunks and other stuff on that drain plug, you've got bigger problems than an oil change. I typically let this thing drain for at least 5 minutes or until I'm ready to fill the oil back up. And so here we are, just showing off the drain bolt. It's black right now. I'll give it a good wipe, or wipe it off, and you can see that crap is coming off. Like I said, if you have any chunks or anything like metallic stuck to the end of this, that's probably a sign of a bigger issue. So now it's time to swap the oil filter for the new oil filter. I'm just showing off a 5/16 nut driver, and then I'm stuffing in some paper towel here to catch some of the excess oil that seeps out. Some people use tin foil to redirect the oil into the oil pan. I don't, not much comes out, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Anyways, bottom line is I struggle with the nut driver and realize that I need to use the 8 mil socket and ratchet to make this happen. So as I pop off the cap here, I'm going to show you the inside. There is a black O-ring that goes all the way around that needs to stay in there, and make sure that is lubricated when you put it back on as well. The oil filter comes out with the open end that way, and I'm showing you the reverse end where there's a cap on it now. So that's the back side that goes in first. So remember that when you put the new oil filter in. So putting the oil filter in, there's the hard cap end, that goes in first, rubber end out, and just plunk it in like that. So just showing the O-ring there to make sure there's oil on it before you put it back into place. So I typically go fairly hand tight, maybe a little past hand tight, and certainly don't over torque this. This is a steel bolt going into aluminum threads. I would say hand tight, quarter turn pass with a ratchet at the very most. Alternatively, you could just look it up in the manual for the torque settings if you have something that can actually measure torque to that level. So I'm just cleaning off the drain plug, showing you the fresh crush washer on there. This isn't actually a fresh one. I'm reusing it. I'm a cheap bastard like that. But if you want to use a fresh one or a new one, go ahead and do that. Rule of thumb for when you're reapplying or reinserting the drain plug, to go hand tight and then tighten with a ratchet another quarter turn. On my bike, I don't feel comfortable doing that, so I typically go hand tight and then 1/8 of a turn, just as a heads up. But I'm sure 1/4 is safe as well. All right, so just removing the fill cap, make sure it's somewhere clean, or you put it somewhere clean, and then we're going to get our measuring cup. So take note here, 1.4 liters of oil if you are changing the oil filter. If you're not changing the oil filter, it is only 1.3 liters. All I'm doing here is just wiping out the measuring cup. You don't want any sediment. This is one I is dedicated to the garage. I think my wife retired it from the kitchen, and so that's what I use. And the funnel I use is a longer one. I find this easier for this particular bike. Actually, most motorcycles, this type of funnel works best. So as I fill this up, I usually break the fill into two different pours. The first pour is going to be 1 liter, which is what I'm doing on the screen here, followed by a second pour, which is 400 mils. All right, so just wrapping up the process, cleaning up the oil cap again, popping it in, and then I'll be shifting to cleaning up the work area, and then I'll start the bike and let it warm up. I'll let it run for about 30 seconds, and then check the levels to make sure everything is good to go. So when you're looking to figure out where your oil level is, on the left and right side of the window, top and bottom, you'll see these marks. And you want the oil to be within the marks, preferably right dead center. I go a little high, but it's all good. Anyways, that's it, guys. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. Hopefully, this is helpful to somebody. Thanks. Take care.